anti-drug trafficking units across the state. Remember, during his campaign, Vijay had promised to implement major welfare schemes in Tamil Nadu, starting from 2,500 rupees to women heads of households and the same amount to the unemployed diploma holders. He has also promised to give 4,000 rupees to unemployed graduates and 6 free LPG cylinders per year to every household. And now, Vijay faces the task of balancing debt with welfare promises. The TVK has decided to release a white paper on the state's fiscal health soon. If Vijay decides to implement his welfare schemes without additional income, it will account for a third of Tamil Nadu's total revenue. And from one state to the other one, West Bengal's newly elected Chief Minister Shubhendu Adhikari is resetting the state's relations with the central government under what the Bharatiya Janata Party refers to as its double-engine mechanism. This, remember, comes after years of friction between the centre and the state during TMC's rule in West Bengal. Earlier in the day, Shubhendu Adhikari held the first cabinet meeting of his government. After this meeting, he said that his government will uphold the principle for the people, by the people and of the people. He also announced 5 major decisions, starting with the implementation of central government schemes in West Bengal. The BJP has argued that previous government led by Mamata Banerjee did not implement central government schemes in the state. The West Bengal cabinet also announced a major decision on border security. Shubhendu Adhikari, remember, has promised to allot the required land to Border Security Forces, or the BSF, for fencing along the Bangladesh border within 45 days. Land allocation to the BSF is a coordinated process between the state administration and the Union Ministry of Home Affairs.
Land will be transferred to the Ministry of Home Affairs within the next 45 days. Once this is accomplished, the BSF will complete the border fencing and the ongoing issue of illegal infiltration will be resolved within a short period.
The new West Bengal government has also decided to provide legal aid to the victims of political struggles. The move focuses on 321 BJP workers who lost their lives in political violence. Apart from these, Shubhendu Adhikari has issued orders increasing age to apply for the government job by 5 years. IAS and IPS officers in the state will be allowed to receive central training from now onward. And with that, let's shift our focus to the state of Kerala. The wait for Kerala's next chief minister continues. The Congress party-led United Democratic Front, or the UDF alliance, remember, won a thumping victory in the recently concluded state assembly election. But even a week after the results, there has been no confirmation about who will lead Kerala next. These are the top 3 contenders that are doing the rounds. There's the All India Congress Committee General Secretary for Organisation, K.C. Venugopal. Then you've got Kerala's former opposition leader in the State Assembly, V.D. Satheesan. And then you have his predecessor as LOP in the state, Ramesh Chennithala. These 3 are considered the front runners for the chief ministerial post. All 3 flew to Delhi to have meetings with the Congress High Command on Saturday. They all presented their cases, but the High Command is yet to announce their final decision. All 3, remember, now await the High Command's verdict.
The decision will be taken by the Congress High Command. We are all awaiting for that decision. Whatever decision the High Command takes, we will accept.
The UDF won 102 out of Kerala's 140 seats in the recent election. The Congress ended up as the single largest party with 63 seats in the state assembly. Remember, after the victory, factionalism within the party came to the fore. Supporters of the various chief ministerial candidates, especially K.C. Venugopal and V.D. Satheesan, began putting up posters of their respective leaders. Now, this poster war was an attempt to boost support for their preferred candidates. And reports suggest that the Congress High Command wants the fervour among party workers in Kerala to subside before they announce the next chief minister. Reports also state that the decision now rests in the hands of Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and former Kerala Chief Minister A.K. Antony. With that, shifting our focus now to global updates, Philippines lawmakers voted in large numbers to impeach the Vice President Sara Duterte. 255 out of the 3,018 lawmakers in the lower house voted in favor of her impeachment. The voting earlier in the day now paves the way for Duterte to now face trial in the Senate, a move which can put an end to her presidential bid. Several political activists and lawmakers welcomed this move.
This is an important first step towards achieving accountability for the different crimes that the Vice President has been accused of, for crimes involving the corruption of confidential and intelligence funds, involving the threats of violence and death against high officials of the land. I think it's still a long process before we achieve that accountability, but this is a necessary first step.
Now, Sara Duterte, the daughter of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, faces growing accusations of corruption, bribery and amassing unexplained wealth. She also faces allegations of threatening the life of Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. But that charge Duterte vehemently denies. Now, if she gets convicted in a Senate trial, she would be removed from office. A conviction could also disqualify the Vice President from holding office for life. UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer addressed his country today and took questions from the media days after his party lost substantially in the local body elections. In his post-poll remarks, Starmer said that he will prove those who doubt him wrong. His address also follows growing discontent within the Labour Party with his premiership.
That's the greatest hope. So thank you very much for that question. Thank you all very much. I know that people are frustrated by the state of Britain, frustrated by politics, and some people frustrated with me. I know I have my doubters, and I know I need to prove them wrong, and I will.
Starmer also said that he takes full responsibility of the latest electoral mandate in which the Labour's lost to massive gains made by Reform UK and the Greens, respectively.
The election results last week were tough, very tough. We lost some brilliant Labour representatives. That hurts. And it should hurt. I get it. I feel it. And I take responsibility. But it's not just about taking responsibility for the results. It's about taking responsibility to explain how, as a political and electoral force, we will be better and do better in the months and years ahead.
However, not all Britons are optimistic about Starmer's future as the country's Prime Minister.
Well, there seems to be a lot of pressure on him at the moment from all angles, so he probably won't survive. But to be honest, I don't really care. Nothing ever changes, so yeah, good luck to him, I guess.
Over the weekend, remember, the Labour leader had said that he will not walk away and trigger chaos in the country. Following Labour's loss in the local polls, Starmer had said that he is going to rebuild the party. But it appears to be an uphill battle for Keir Starmer, with challenges within the party. Former UK Junior Minister Catherine West has reportedly notified 10 Downing Street of a call for change in leadership by September this year. In fact, she has said that she is collecting names of Labour lawmakers to call on the Prime Minister to set a timetable for this election.
70-something at the moment because we need to get this ball rolling. But my preferred option is for the Cabinet to do a reshuffle within itself where there's plenty of talent, and for Keir to be given a different role, which he might enjoy, perhaps an international role.
All right, joining me live on the broadcast is Ollie Barrett from London. He's going to get us an understanding of what has been happening. Ollie, this seems to be a challenging time for Keir Starmer, and it's interesting because he said that I will not walk away and lead the country into chaos, but there are some within his party, like Catherine West, who seem to suggest that him staying back as the Prime Minister is leading to chaos in the country. Get us an update of how this moves forward now.
Yeah, it's all very unpredictable at the moment, and it may not be up to Keir Starmer whether there is going to be some chaos around all of this or not. He says he will fight on, and he says even if a leadership challenge is launched against him, that he would fight it at that point as well. Where we are with Catherine West is that over the course of the weekend, this little-known Labour MP said that if the Cabinet didn't move to remove Keir Starmer from his post, or at least tried to do so over the course of the weekend, then she would effectively try and launch a leadership challenge of her own. Now, that wasn't because she thought that she should be the next leader of the party, but she thought that might precipitate a leadership contest that she says the party needs. She has slightly changed her mind, though, and today she's been emailing all Labour MPs, asking them to support her plan, which is now to try and make sure there is a leadership contest of some sort, which she says should be wrapped up by September. But that's not the way that the party process actually works in this regard when it comes to a possible leadership contest. So a huge amount of uncertainty about whether Catherine West will actually get anywhere at all. There are, though, now over 50 Labour MPs saying publicly that they think there should be a change of leader. If that number continues to rise and gets above about 80, then I think Keir Starmer will start getting very worried indeed, and it might be at that point that members of the Cabinet do feel that it's the stage that perhaps they should make a move. Maybe some of them might resign from Cabinet to try and get Keir Starmer to agree to some kind of phased resignation at some point in the future, or indeed just to precipitate a leadership contest of some sort. But it's all going to be potentially very, very complicated indeed. And what we haven't yet seen is any of those major Cabinet resignations, or indeed any potential leadership challenger actually stand up and say out loud in public that they're launching a challenge against the Prime Minister after those disastrous election results last week.
All right, so let's wait and see how Keir Starmer really tackles this. I'll leave it there. Ollie Barrett, thanks very much for joining us and getting us the latest from London. All right, moving on. Across the United States, fuel prices have surged sharply over the past 10 weeks, with Midwestern states seeing the steepest increases. Ohio has recorded the biggest jump, with gasoline prices rising 72% since the conflict began. This has nearly double the increase seen in California. Michigan motorists are now paying 64% more to fill their tanks, while Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin are facing severe price spikes as well. Nationwide, gas prices are now less than 50 cents away from the record highs reached during the 2022 energy crisis. Rising global crude prices, refinery maintenance outages, and shrinking domestic fuel inventories are all contributing to the pressure on consumers. The fuel price surge is rapidly turning into a political challenge for President Donald Trump and the Republicans ahead of the November midterm elections. Key swing states in the Midwest, including Ohio and Michigan, are among the hardest hit by rising pump prices. Democrats are now using affordability concerns as a major campaign issue, arguing that the administration has failed to shield consumers from the impact of the conflict. Economists say gasoline prices act as a daily reminder of inflation for voters, directly influencing public sentiment on the economy. Studies show consumer confidence weakens significantly with every dollar increase in fuel prices. The Trump administration has now deployed several measures to contain this fuel shock. This includes releasing oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and easing shipping restrictions between American ports. However, these steps have done little to slow the rise in prices, with national costs climbing roughly $1.50 per gallon since the war began. At the same time, Midwest fuel stockpiles have fallen to near historic lows as fuel exports rise to meet shortages overseas. With inflation already weighing on households, pump prices are now emerging as a critical electoral issue that could shape voter sentiment in several battleground states. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is facing fresh political pressure following the country's constitutional court reopened the Falafala scandal. Now, in the latest, Parliament has outlined that it will establish an impeachment committee. South Africa's ruling African National Congress, or the ANC, is now under pressure to hold urgent leadership meetings. Earlier, the Constitutional Court ruled that Parliament acted unconstitutionally in 2022. This is when the Parliament blocked moves to begin impeachment proceedings against President Cyril Ramaphosa. The decision has reignited the Falafala farm scandal, which is a case that has shadowed Ramaphosa's presidency for years. The controversy centers on the theft of around $580,000 in cash from Ramaphosa's private ranch in 2022. The money was allegedly hidden inside sofas at the president's Falafala farm in Limpopo province. Critics have questioned the origin of the cash and whether the money was properly declared. Ramaphosa has consistently denied any wrongdoing, but remember, the court has ordered that the report of an independent panel which found that Ramaphosa may have a case to answer is creating challenges for him. Political analysts say the ruling could damage the ANC ahead of South Africa's local elections this year. Some within the party are now calling for an emergency meeting of the ANC's National Executive Committee. Meanwhile, opposition parties are demanding that Ramaphosa step down. The Democratic Alliance, which is ANC's coalition partner, says that it will fully participate in any impeachment process. In fact, Ramaphosa's office says that the president respects the court's decision. Our correspondent Kaldin Ongmo has sent us this report from Johannesburg with more details. Take a look.
South Africa's top court has ruled that Parliament acted unconstitutionally when it blocked the Section 89 impeachment process against President Cyril Ramaphosa over the Falafala farm scandal. Analysts say the judgment could weaken Ramaphosa politically, intensifying ANC's succession battles and place further strain on the already fragile Government of National Unity, which is the GNU. Opposition parties like the DA, EFF and Action SA are now calling on the Parliament to urgently revive the impeachment process. ANC insiders say the party's top seven will discuss the ruling today as questions grow over whether Ramaphosa will step down or face impeachment proceedings should the Speaker move to set a date. This is Kaldin Ongmo from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION The World is One.
Moving on, Malaysia is considering legal action against Meta after thousands of fake accounts posing as members of the country's royal family were discovered. The government said that most of these fake accounts were being used to disseminate gambling content and scam people. Malaysia's Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil said that authorities are reviewing possible action against Meta under the country's Online Safety Act. The warning follows the discovery of more than 15,000 fake accounts using the names of 26 members of Malaysia's royal families between January and May this year. Officials said most of the fake accounts were found on Facebook, while others appeared on Instagram and TikTok. The government has requested the removal of more than 230,000 pieces of online content during the same period. More than 90% of the flagged content was linked to online gambling, fraud and scam activities. Fahmi said that Meta had already been reprimanded and warned that legal action was now close to becoming a last resort. Under Malaysia's Online Safety Act, platforms can face fines of up to 1 million ringgit for failing to comply with content takedown orders. The law also allows daily penalties for continuing violations, with total fines reaching as high as 10 million ringgit. Malaysia has a unique constitutional monarchy where 9 hereditary Malay rulers take turns to serve 5-year terms. The majority of the accounts are on Facebook, while others are on Instagram and TikTok. Shifting our focus now, protests in Somalia turned deadly after security forces opened fire on demonstrators in the capital, killing at least one person during anti-government protests over forced evictions. The protest was organized at 10 spots in capital Mogadishu by opposition leaders under the slogan Darin Hil Shakab, which means solidarity with people. Opposition leaders claimed that authorities restricted protests to a stadium in the city, blocked major roads and imposed strict movement controls across the city. Security forces also allegedly surrounded homes of the opposition figures. According to witnesses, security forces opened fire at dozens of protesters gathered in northern Mogadishu in order to disperse the crowd. Former Prime Minister and leader of opposition Hassan Ali Khair condemned the incident, calling it a brutal attack on civilians who were peacefully protesting. Meanwhile, the government hit out at the opposition, accusing them of attempting to destabilize the capital with armed elements. Speaking with the media, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud criticized the protests, saying it was not organized in good faith. Rather, it was intended to destabilize Somalia. In fact, he also added that the Constitution guarantees citizens the right to express their opinions and demonstrate peacefully, but this does not mean allowing chaos or the use of weapons. The unrest comes amid growing political uncertainties in Somalia, with President Mahmoud's term set to expire in 5 days. Elections are scheduled for June, but the government still struggles to extend its authority beyond Mogadishu as it continues fighting the Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab, which has led a nearly 2-decade-long insurgency in the Horn of Africa nation. All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. As always, we will keep getting you news and analysis from India and across the world. Thank you very much for joining us at the moment. Bye-bye.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with